In this lesson, we're going to take a look at how to communicate with the UI from a background threaded service. There are a number of ways to do this, and we're going to take a look at binding an intent service in this lesson. In the next lesson, we'll communicate with the UI using a static event, which is a lot simpler, but not quite as complete. So we have our login service as we've always had, and this time we're going to take a look at it from the activities point of view. We have two members. One is the data service connection, and one is the actual data service. And the connection is that connection between our UI and the service once it gets running. So we create that data service connection object, and we get an event for it for when it's connected. And when it does connect, it passes in an instance of the data intent service. So we store that instance in our member, and we hook its login result received event. So we're going to use this event to find out what the results were from the login. So the service is going to run in the background, and it's going to be able to fire us out events. And in the received, we're just going to use our toast messages. And on resume, we're going to create a service intent of type data intent service, and we're going to bind this service with our service connection. On pause, we're going to unbind the service. So essentially what this is saying is we want the service to run when our activity is actually active, and when it's paused, we just want to unbind the service. We don't need to hear about results. And finally, when we click the Start button, we start service after putting the username and password on the intents. So let's take a look at the intent service itself. It has a member called Data Service Binder, and also an event action called Login Result Received. And this is the event that we hooked in our activity. When the service is first constructed, we create a new binder. And on bind, we just do a base on bind. We handled the intent essentially the same way, getting the username and password and running the service. And if our event is not null, we fire the event. So that's fairly standard .NET eventing. Our binder is a small little class that passes in an instance of the service and then provides it as a public property. And then this is our data service connection, which when the service is connected, we connect the service binder to our service instance. And we handle disconnections. So there's a few classes in here, and the binder and connection code really don't have a lot to do with any of the actual function of the service. It's essentially just plumbing. So let's see it running. And we'll start our service. And you'll note the button returns to the UI fairly quickly. And there's our toast message for the login being succeeded. So you can see that the UI was active while the background service was working, and then the service let us know when it had gotten a result. And you can see how the service might actually operate continuously and give us continuous results. So that's how to communicate with the UI using the data service binding. In our next lesson, we're going to look at how to do notifications, but we're also going to take a look at how to communicate with the UI with a static event from a background service.